won't comment on what's going on over in the UK, but I will continue to endeavour to fight against racism and intolerance every single day in Canada.
Prime Minister Trudeau, we certainly know that you're not a big fan of answering a lot of questions. You like to throw out a lot of platitudes, but Canadians want to know some of these burning questions and have some answers to them. So let's start. Mr. Trudeau, why do you hate our country so much? Recently, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry did an explosive interview with Oprah. You were asked about that interview where there were some very serious allegations Meghan Markle made about racism towards the royal family. Unfounded allegations, however. But you didn't miss a moment to criticize your own country, to talk about the racist buildings and the racist history that Canada is engaged in or has engaged in. Why is that? Oh, and by the way, Prime Minister, just a quick follow-up to that. We know that you recently weren't able to once again defend our country. You maybe misspoke. We think you corrected yourself or meant to when you talked about the fact that you're always going to stand up for American jobs. We know you meant to say you're going to stand up for Canadian jobs.
Despite the fear-mongering going on from the Conservatives, we will continue to stand up for American jobs, for Canadian jobs and Canadian interests.
Luckily, we're going to give you a little pass on that one. You did correct yourself.
Support for gender equality, support for women's rights is something that this government will never flinch on.
Prime Minister Trudeau, why is it that women, former women from your caucus and one former cabinet minister, keep writing books where you prominently are on display and not in a positive light? We have this one, of course, written by Selena Caesar Chevenez. She used to be your parliamentary secretary. She used to be in your caucus. She chose not to run in the last election because of a toxic environment that she had with you. She said some very, very strong things about your leadership, your Prime Minister's office, and basically talked about how she was treated as a token. She didn't appreciate that. This accomplished, successful woman prior to entering politics, and now, of course, post-politics, had so much to offer this country. Yet your party, the party of feminists, the party of wokeness, treated her so shabbily. And secondly, Jody Wilson-Raybould, that name, of course, we know you remember her. She's now, of course, sitting as an independent MP. She was your former Attorney General. We're going to go all the way back to lab scam days. When you interfered and tried to get her to do something that she felt was unethical, you fired her as your Attorney General. Well, she had written a book prior to the last election, but now she has a new one coming out, and it's called Indian in the Cabinet, a very provocative title, which we suspect you, again, are not going to play a very positive role in the portrayal in her words and her experiences. So the question, Mr. Trudeau, is why do these women, your former colleagues, keep writing books where you are not portrayed in a very positive light? The self-professed woke Prime Minister, the feminist. What is happening in your world that these women are taking such issue with how you treat them? It's a bit hypocritical, is it not? Mr. Prime Minister, tax season is right around the corner. Canadians are about to find out very quickly just how much your largesse is going to cost us. Now, we know that there was a necessity to spend billions upon billions of dollars because of the global pandemic. And Canadians are very forgiving of that. And in some ways, getting those checks was necessary for survival, to pay the rent, to pay groceries, to pay your bills. And we could consider it as us getting a little bit of our own money back. But what about all the other spending, all the other frivolous spending that has been going on to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars? Your finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, has not put forward a budget yet. In fact, your government has not put forward a budget since 2019. Why is it that almost every other province is capable of putting forward a budget? What is it that your government is incapable of doing? At the very least, give us a financial roadmap, not only to recovery, but how you're planning on spending our money. So let's just put all that notion of spending aside and just call it for what it is. You won an election, Mr. Prime Minister, and we know you're in a minority parliament. You can't technically call it. You have to be voted down, and there has to be money bills, there has to be confidence motions. But let's be honest. You're setting it up. You're setting up and you're going to put in poison pills where not only the Conservatives or the NDP or the Bloc can support your government, because you're feeling that things are moving in the right direction for the vaccines. And we hope they are. We want you to succeed when it comes to the rollout and the strategy for the vaccines and to get those jabs in Canadians' arms. But you see a light at the end of the tunnel, and that is looking like an election. So why not just come clean with us? Why not just be honest? Get us off our tenterhooks and say that you are looking forward to going to the polls. Canadians just want to know when that's going to happen. We always have questions for Justin Trudeau, and we want to hear from you. We do get some in, and we will endeavor to ask them. We probably, however, won't get an answer. Log on to Facebook and Twitter. Let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.